Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Moore. O'Kane.
Here.
Stand for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kelly, you want to meet me up front there? For Mid-America in the house, so thank you for being here. I know that you're a big supporter of trees, so thank you for that. Whereas the Arbor Day holiday was first observed in 1872 with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And where trees in our city increase property values and enhance the economic vitality of the business areas and beautify our community with a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 28, 2023 as Arbor Day in the City of Sioux City and urge all citizens to plant trees for the well-being of this and future generations.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your support. We will be doing an Arbor Day planting with one of the schools. We'll be doing a short education program with each of the grades that will actually be on Arbor Day itself. And I'll send out an invitation for that one. And we are working with another group tomorrow, Wednesday. We're going to do another planting at the Railroad Museum with Dakota Valley again, like we did last year. So, thank you for your support.
Kelly, are there any trees available for public?
We did not pursue the Arbor Day grant for this spring.
Oh, okay.
We're looking at how we're going to revamp that. There's not a lot of effort put into people picking up their trees after they had spoken for them.
Oh, okay.
So.
All right. I was going to send you an email on that and I forgot. So, okay, thank you.
Sam?
All right, thanks, Kelly. Mayor, members of the council, Sam Wagner, Mid-American Energy. It's good to be back here with you again, celebrating Arbor Day and delivering a check to the city of Sioux City in the amount of $5,000 through our Trees Please program. And so happy to do that again. As a resident, I certainly appreciate everything that the city of Sioux City is doing to beautify the community. Trees are a huge part of that, and we're very happy to participate and to partner with you. And also, as a side note, last year when I did this presentation, the mayor was standing right here, and that was very awkward. So I just want to thank you, Mayor, for going and taking your seat before I give my remarks.
Well, I know you wanted to give the check to Kelly. What, so don't forget why you came.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, interview for Civil Service Commission, Jade Dorschner. He brought a lot of that Yankee stuff in with him, but tried not to hold that against him, try to judge him on the merits of his application. So,
yes.
Go ahead, tell us why you want to serve.
Well, I served 3 years. This will be my second tour. I came in and filled in for somebody who had moved out of town. So it took me 3 years. I figured out what's going on, and then they asked if I wanted to come back, and I said I would. The girls downstairs, I mean.
Question.
Thank you very much. We rely very heavily on the Civil Service Commission in particular for recruiting employees and among other things. And I'm glad that you've got experience with it already. You've got 3 years under your belt, which is no short order by any means. Thank you for your application. I'm glad that you're interested in continuing it.
Thank you. It's an honor serving.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Jay.
Let you know.
Thanks.
Thank you. Today, the consent agenda is items 3 through 12. Consider them to pass unanimously, unless a separate roll call vote is asked for by the council. If you want to speak on an item, please come up as I read it. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is a reading of the city council minutes of April 10th and 12th, 2023. 4 is a resolution approving fund transfer for the 24 budget. 5 is a resolution accepting a transfer of a 2005 Winnebago home outfitted as a mobile communications vehicle from Woodbury County. 6 is a resolution authorizing fire rescue to apply for a grant from the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation smoke alarm. 7 is a resolution fixing the amount to be assessed against private property and adopting the levy schedule of assessments for sidewalk snow removal program. 8 is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Bob Brown Chevy for the 2021 Chevy Express Cutaway commercial cutaway cube van. 9 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement for DGR Engineering for South Russet Street reconstruction project. B is a resolution approving a renewal option to the service provider agreement awarded to Brian Wildy for the Floyd Cemetery 2023 mowing season. C is a resolution approving a renewal option to the service provider agreement awarded to Brian Wildy for the 2023 weed abatement program. Items 10A and B are resolutions approving settlements of tort claims and authorizing payments. 11 are applications for beer and liquor license. 12 are boards, commission, and committee minutes. See the list, come forward if you have any questions. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? Passes 4-0. Mr. Moore's absent. Appointments of boards and commissions. A is a motion appointing Sean Olorundami to the Active Transportation Advisory Committee. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 4-0. Hearing 14 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the airport terminal apron pavement repair and North GA apron taxiway replacement lights project. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 4-0. 15 is a hearing resolution approving plans and specs for the Airport Northeast Taxi Lane reconstruction and THangar site improvement project. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 4-0. 16 is a hearing and resolution assenting to the request of Old Dominion Freight Line to annex land into the city. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 4-0. 17 is a hearing resolution assessing a $300 civil penalty against Casey's 1419 Hamilton Boulevard for violation of the cigarette laws. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 4-0. 18 is a hearing resolution adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, and fiscal year 24 to 28 capital improvement project or program. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open.
Teresa Fitch, Finance Department. As we promised, we would come back with a few slides just to give an overview of the budget and kind of explain better to citizens how our budget is formulated. The 24 summary of the budget this year is nearly $320 million, $195 million of operating budget, $42 million of debt service, and $82 million of capital improvement budget. This is by category. You'll see the largest expense category that we have in our budget is employee compensation and capital expenditures, with employee compensations of 36% of the budget and capital expenditures at 27% of the budget. This here gives you an overview of the values over a 10-year period. So our values in this past year increased 1.57% of taxable value. And this 15-year average of property tax levy just demonstrates the different levies that are a part of the taxing. So the city is just a small, well, I guess a 40% portion of the full tax levying that each citizen receives. So we only receive 40% of the taxes that they're paying. Roughly 40% of it has been to the schools, 18% to the county, 2% to WIT, 1% to the assessor, and then there's an ag and a small state portion of it as well. This is a little more complicated, but this is the calculation of your city taxes. We always use $100,000 as an easy number to utilize. And this just gives you kind of a step-by-step on how it's determined. First, the city assessor.
And what you mean as far as $100,000, using that as a benchmark, if someone's home is $100,000?
Yes, yep, that's the assessed value.
Yep.
So the first step is that the city assessor comes out and assesses your property. And then at that point, once you have your assessed value, it's determined by the state. If there's larger than a 3% growth in your assessed value, there's a rollback factor, and that factor fluctuates based on that growth. So that rollback factor ensures that you never have a growth of more than 3% for your taxing ability. And then we obviously take that off. So you would be at, in this example, $100,000, you would be at a rollback factor of 54.65%, which rolls back your taxable to the $54,650. There's deductions, which are your homestead credits and your military deductions. Those are removed. And then your total taxable value would be the $49,800. Then based on each $100,000 tax levy portion is 15.76. So you would take the $49,800 divided it by 1,000 and take that amount by the 15.76, getting you at $785. That's the gross tax amount that the city receives on a resident with a $100,000 value. Yep.
For the year?
Yep. The property tax levy for fiscal year, this is another 10-year kind of running history of what's happened with our taxable values. As you can see, we've been much higher than we currently are today, and at times a little bit lower, but based on that rollback, we're able to change that levy amount to ensure that we're again, being fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. Again, this year we came in with what we thought would be a flat levy until there was an adjustment at the state level. The Senate File 181 was a calculation of the assessment limitation for residential property, including the effective date and retroactively back. So once they did that, we needed to increase our levy to make up that $650,000 that would short us when they made that change.
What was the short? What was the total?
$650,000. So our levy went up that small amount. It was going to be 15.72. We had to increase it to 15.76 to fill that gap. And this
So
year,
had the state legislature not made
Correct.
that miscalculation, the city wouldn't have been owing $560,000, increasing the levy to the level that we have to make up that shortfall.
Yep, it was a $650,000
$650,000.
increase. Yep, and we had to increase to make up that shortfall.
And how was the shortfall created again, Teresa?
By the rollback change. So they adjusted the rollback and made it retroactive. So they retroactively moved it back. And based on what we set our levy on, it changed kind of halfway through the budget period. So instead of the city having to make cuts to our budget, we had to increase our levy to make up that amount. And And on the last page, the city tax collections. So this just gives you an example of what we've collected from 2015 to now. In 2015, we were collecting actually $811,000 on a $100,000 property from residents, and right now we're collecting $785. So we're actually collecting less because we've continued to fluctuate our levy to ensure that we're, again, fiscally responsible to our residents. Now, on the commercial side, we are still less. It was $1,555 in 2015, and we are now $1,419. So if you were to have a $100,000 resident and a $100,000 commercial or industry property, this would be the total on your right-hand side column. In 2015, it was $2,366, and in 2024, it's $2,204. So as you can see, we ourselves here at the city have done a really good job of not increasing the taxes unless necessary, or the levy amount, which increases the amount collected for taxes unless necessary. Is there any questions?
Thank you so much for explaining the breakout on that.
Yep, I think every year we'll try to come back and do that and do a little more every year to help educate the citizens too.
I think that really helps. You know, although the assessor does not report to us, we're kind of all in it together. So the more information we can get out together, you know, the better.
I agree.
Thanks, Teresa.
Anyone to be heard? Hearing is closed. Passes 4-0. 19 is a resolution approving a statement of authorized personnel complement. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 4-0. Discussion. 20 is a resolution authorizing a 90-day delay in demolition of property at 974 Logan Street. The owners, Dwayne and Andrea Hughes. I'll move that.
Second.
Thank you. This is Darrell, the City Inspections Department. This is one of the properties that was ordered demolished at our January 19th placard hearing. Since that time, the owner has brought forward. He had just purchased it shortly before that meeting, so he took this time to get his estimates together, get his funding together, and get his $10,000 bond to us, and he's done that. So staff is asking for us to rescind the demolition order and grant a 90-day stay of demolition. Thanks.
You feel strongly that it's going to get
Yes, I do.
done?
Yep.
I think I remember this one.
Thanks, Darrell.
Yep.
Pass 4-0. 21 is an ordinance amending Chapter 2.12 employee residence requirement by expanding the mileage requirements in which city employees may reside. The first consideration was approved on April 3rd, 2023. The second, or the deferred from April 10th, 2023. Is staff now recommending a motion to delete? Is that correct?
Correct.
I'll move that.
Second.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
22 is an ordinance amending Chapter 13.08 sanitary sewer rates to increase sewer rates effective July 1st, 2023. First consideration was approved on April 3rd. It was deferred up from April 10th, 2023 to now. I'll move second reading.
Second.
Tom Pingle, Utilities Director. Last week, we held an industrial rate meeting where we presented 2 additional options for the industries to capture the same amount of money over the same amount of time, but different rate structures. One of the good things we heard from the meeting is they would like to implement the large rate hike at the beginning of the next year instead of July 1. So we've also did a new rate structure to accommodate for that. We sent out a survey.
And that was, if I can jump in, that was to kind of address what the mayor had brought up of they might already have kind of their fiscal year going and then get it back on track. So it's at least
Right.
annual
You're using a
versus
calendar,
fiscal.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
calendar year versus fiscal.
Correct, yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw.
So we put out a survey to see which options they like the best. We'll get those results by the end of the day, Thursday of this week, and we will bring those results to you guys. So that's where we are.
So would you like us to vote on this then today? Should we pass second reading or wait till we get those results back? What would your recommendation?
Do either or, you could defer it, or you could pass it, and we could amend the ordinance next week for you guys to vote on.
Mayor, what are your thoughts on what? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Doug Skinner, representing Bridgeport Logistics, 2301 Boulevard of Champions, also representing a major industrial user group at large. So I do want to thank city staff. They did put on a meeting last Thursday, which was heavily attended, and I guess I'll say spirited discussion was had by all. So a couple questions got answered. My first one specifically on the timing of, we seem to be rushing to permit, and again, I'm sure that's maybe a harsh word, but there wasn't a lot of pushback on if we could defer till next fiscal year, the timing of the increased payments. That leads to my next series of questions. Does that also change the permitting process? Does it have to be done by the same timeline if we're pushing back? If we're pushing back on the payment stream, does that mean we have the opportunity to push back also on some of the permitting in order to answer some of the questions that actually came up last week? So the first question was timing of permits, which led into the discussion of the timing of payments. I don't know if the timing of the permits is flexible. It seems that was self-imposed somewhat.
No, we're under the gun to get going with design of the plant, and we need a master plan submitted to be able to do that. So we can defer rates, but we would not recommend deferring the master plan process at all.
Okay, and I've got a series of questions that I would just like to go through. And then second thing, and these are all things we talked about in the meeting, so this is follow-up from that meeting. The second was the topic of grants. I guess it's kind of hard for me to sit back here with everything I see on the news and in the media these days about, the Waters of the Americas Act and clean water and the environment, that there isn't some grant opportunity out there for a city of this size, for a project of this size. I mean, I just saw the capital expenditure for next year. This project is 5 times that. So, I mean, this is a huge deal for us. I just didn't get the feeling that it exhausted every avenue of applicable grant. Have we engaged state politicians, federal politicians? Maybe we have, I just didn't get that sense. That's question number 2. Question number 3, while actually Hazen, the engineers, went through a lot of detail, and I was shocked at the number of subcontractors that had submitted bids, over 300, I understand. What came across is...
Stop for a minute. We haven't taken any bids for this, so what are we talking about? We haven't taken any bids for this, so.
Well, estimates, maybe I'll say estimates, not bids. I should have said estimates.
Well, that may be.
To build their...
Hazen has done over 300 cost estimates, and
Well,
that
that's
involved
fine,
credit.
okay, but I want to make
Right.
sure.
I think that's what
I used the wrong word, pardon me.
Okay, I
Estimates.
want to make sure we haven't bid that project.
Sorry about that. Estimates. But, the questions we were asking, was that based on multiple scopes of work? Were there iterations of the project, or was it one scope, one size fits all, this is it? Didn't get really that question answered. Fourth would be, was there a sensitivity analysis done? Meaning, if either industry decides to direct discharge, which takes load and flow off the system, or if a lot of industries decide to pre-treat harder, that takes load off the system. If we've already spent the $485 million, we can't unspend it. So what does that do to the remaining industry rates? I mean, if you lose a significant chunk of your revenue due to loading or flow, that has to change the rate structure. You can't run a loss. So we asked for an analysis, for a sensitivity analysis of, in 10-degree increments, what happens if we lose or gain flow. So that was number 4. And then and number 5 was we asked for a sources and uses document because of the first 5 years of the project. What seems odd is that the rate increase starts now and the term payment of 30 years starts 5 years from now. So during the construction phase, if I understand it right, we're paying interest only, no different than you're building a house. And when the house is done, we'll term it out. Is that correct? Okay. So just again, I'm no accountant, so excuse me, but I mean, if I do the math from an interest only standpoint over the next 5 years, there's somewhere around $25 to $30 million of interest paid at 2%. Fees collected in that same time frame will be between $90 and $100 million, additional fees, incremental fees to today's base rates. So we've got 25 to 30 in extra cost, we've got 90 to 100 in extra revenue. Where's the delta? So that, you know.
Are we borrowing the whole 300?
485.
Well, if you do phase 3, but anyway.
No, that's 2 phases.
That's correct, Mayor. For the first phase, we'll be borrowing the full 300.
480, how much?
It'll be 300 million, and the second phase is 170 million.
You're gonna borrow it all? That makes no sense. I gotta agree with him. Why would you borrow money if you collected 100 million? I mean, you're gonna be collecting rates starting today, or July 1st. And then you're gonna tell me you're gonna borrow every bit of this money. So where's the 100 million going that you're collecting?
Well, it'll go to the debt service that gets paid in, well, it probably will have our first actual payment of principal and interest in 27, so it'll start in 27, because we have to start paying principal and interest once a percentage of the project is completed. So it'll be 27, 28.
Listen, you're very detailed, you do a very good job. But if they're asking a question about the cash flow of your
And I'm working on that. I haven't had it completed yet, but I am putting
guess I'd
together
like to see
something.
that too.
I can provide that.
I understand why you would have to borrow every bit of this when you're up front end loading the rates. That doesn't make sense to me at all. I would have thought we would be borrowing somewhere in the $300 million range because you're going to be collecting as you go. But
I can put together, once I put together the analysis completely, I can provide it for the council and,
important to get that done.
yep.
And to be fair, we just asked for that Thursday.
Oh, no, I know,
and there
but
was no pushback.
I guess I'd like to know the answer to that too.
But for those 5 questions, several of which we're awaiting responses, we'd like to ask for a deferral of the second reading until we can get some of those answers and industry can have more time to digest that. I think last week's meeting was productive. I think we need more, so I'll ask for a deferral. Thank you.
Else to be heard? Yeah, I'd like to know what 300 subs Hazen contacted.
No. I think it was that they've
Hazen has
estimated-
provided over 300,
Estimate.
has designed and provided estimates for over 300 projects.
That's what
That's what they said.
that he misspoke.
Okay.
Is that the way that you interpreted it, Tom? Was that Hazen
Yeah.
was saying they've designed and estimated over 300 jobs?
I don't recall the 300,
That number?
that number 300, but they presented quite a few different jobs from all across the country, and then some local jobs that are ongoing, completed, or are going to go to bid soon.
Gotcha.
What's the council want to do?
Well, I guess my question would be, Tom, Tom, Teresa, and everyone, if we're okay, at least for one more week, giving them the answers to those. I don't have answers for all those. A lot of city staff would have to maybe answer some of those more detailed questions. I know that we've exhausted quite a bit of different avenues looking for different funding mechanisms. I can speak to that I know that our staff has been really proactive in trying to research and do those different things, have conversations at the state level, the federal level. I spoke with a DOT official in Washington, D.C. about this project last year and some of the bigger projects that we have going on. And so I think, and as far as grant opportunities, I know Julie and others have been on board with preaching that. quite a bit, that we need to be as aggressive looking into grants to offset some of the costs of these different projects because costs have increased so greatly.
The grants are targeted towards cities of 50,000 and under, and we're just kind of above that sweet spot.
Correct. So I trust that city staff will continue to do so, especially because we've been trying to offset or have different projects going on down at the wastewater treatment plant in an effort to be more of a renewable plant, a more green-focused plant. Oftentimes, well, and you'll probably know or be able to recall, different tax programs and things to offset or to incentivize people to participate in those types of programs. So I trust, and I would direct staff along with you to, continue to always exhaust all resources looking for grant or other funding structures so they're not passed along to our industrial partners or to our residents. I think that's just being fiscally responsible to both you and the taxpayers. And so I would trust that we would continue to do so, but need to make a concerted effort to try to offset that wherever possible. Tom, if you're okay with a deferral, I would want to have those answers, and it sounds like the mayor would like to have those answers. If you're comfortable deferring for another week so we can at least have those answers to industry partners, then you have the results of your survey, and then we can kind of maybe make some forward progress on this. What are your thoughts? I know that we're up against the wall as far as wanting to take action soon. I know that.
Yeah, we can defer 1 week. That's fine. We got to make this, we got to do it right. So
Yeah.
fine with that.
And it's going to have implications or,
Yep. The sensitivity analysis that is requested, we are going to send out a survey following week. We got to put that together, which we already did about a year ago, where we asked our industries what they're planning to do in the future, whether they're going to install pretreatment or not,
Yeah.
whether they want local limits or not, stuff like that. We do plan to send out another survey for that. The results will be taken in for future consideration of maybe phase 2 or any ability to scale it down if possible. But the DNR will not let us derate this facility. We can re-rate it equivalent to where we are, but I don't think the city council, I can't speak for you guys, but there's always been a push to get capacity increase. So that's kind of where the direction we've been heading in with these phase 1 and 2.
In phase 3, that's only if we have more industry come to town that needs
Correct.
capacity,
Correct.
right?
which is just smart
And if we did
planning.
lose
Yeah.
in some way
Yep. I just want
to
council to know.
pretreatment, that would open us up, though, for another industry to come, because we really aren't accepting anyone right now because we're at capacity, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep. But we did put out a survey that was a part of the facility plan to our sister cities and every industry, all of our major industries. To their credit, they didn't know at the time the rate increases that we're looking at. So
I don't think
we wanna
anyone
send-
did.
No one knew, but
Sure.
we are going to send that out again.
I have a question, and don't know enough to be dangerous. My understanding in Iowa, you permit a plant for 10 years, and then you got to renew your permit.
It's a 5-year renewal cycle on your permit.
So when was the last time you renewed?
Was probably, I'll have to look at our permit, but I think it was, I don't know the correct answer, and I'll get that to you. But
And I'd like to know when they switched from 10, because when I got back on the council, we had just renewed, and we had a 10-year permit.
yep, the permit will always stay the same unless facility plan calls and that the facility plan has been gone through and implemented, then you get a re-rate. But other than that, you're just you're renewing your permit.
Still have to renew.
Correct, correct.
I'd like to see that renewal when it was.
Yep, yep. Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Do you need to withdraw your motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
I'd move that we defer this item for a week.
Second?
Waters,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott.
All right.
Thank you. And if you could make sure city staff has those questions, I was trying to jot notes and think through them, but if you could just email, that would, thank you.
23 is a resolution withdrawing a $500 civil penalty against MCA Southern Hills 12, violation of the beer, wine, and liquor laws. I'll move that.
Second, sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they went and did some deal where they took a test or,
Yes, they have classes that the staff takes, and if they haven't used that, they can, it's kind of their get-out-of-jail-free card. They can use it once.
I am so bothered by all of these we've had.
You know, I was thinking that myself. There's such an increase.
Unacceptable that these people don't know how old a kid is to sell beer. And the Iowa Liquor Association, or the Iowa Liquor Board needs to do something about all of them. I can't believe we're the only city that's having these. I mean,
We're not.
Casey stores and Come and Goes that have a scan that tells you how old, just means they're not even checking driver's license.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It bothers me that we're serving so many kids alcohol in this.
And if they just ask them if they're 21, really that's sufficient by law. So that they can't get, you know, if the person lies to them, they can ask for the ID, but if they do ask, they
Supply.
have to supply it, right?
Welcome, Mr. Moore. Thank you, Mayor. It's nice to be here. We were hardly able to do business without your leadership, so thank you for
finishing up in record time.
That's 4-0. 24 is authorizing the Arts Center to apply for a Missouri River Historical Development Target Grant to support the Gilchrist Learning Center Sidewalk Improvement Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Sure you want to come up and tell the public what this is going to look like when you get the grant, don't you?
Sure, that's why I'm here.
Okay. Here are the exciting plans you have.
Todd Barron's Art Center Director. What we're looking to do is resurface, or actually take out the existing ramp access to the Gilchrist Learning Center, and then add and replace it with a better insulated sidewalk so that it matches up better with our foundation, and we don't end up with large differentiations in the height, which kind of defeats the purpose of a ramp. And then we're also adding in stairs because most pedestrians are actually accessing the art center, crossing a grassy slope rather than using the ramp. So, thank you.
Good luck, Tom. Thanks.
Passes 5-0. Citizen concerns, please come forward, state your name and the address for the record.
Good afternoon. Ernie Colt, 4526 Perry Way. I wanted to stop by and thank the City Council for their support of organized labor. I know a year or two ago we passed some responsible contractor language here at the city, and I took it to the county and then to the LEC authority. And so now we've got that same language in effect on the Law Enforcement Center project. And I know this is a joint project, and so I think it concerns all of us. I've been attending those meetings and trying to get some answers for that responsible contractor language, and they like to shut me, shut me up, and they don't want me in the room, and they want to time me. They give me 25, 30 seconds to speak. I want to say Dan Moore is the only one who has advocated to let me speak at those meetings. And so there's a real problem there. Not only is that project $20 million over budget, but now they don't know who's doing the work out there, and they don't care about the workers and how they're being paid, how they're being treated, if they're paying taxes. And by the way, this is National Tax Fraud Month. I think we all know what that is. We all have to pay our taxes, and I don't think it's fair that we have people on that project not paying taxes. That's not right. And so what I'm proposing, and I would like your support on, is the appointment of someone, I'd like it to be me, to the LEC authority without vote, so as not to cause voting issues, but someone there to explain the responsible contractor language and how to enforce it, what questions to ask and what we're looking for, because it's really getting out of hand. I'm going to take this to the Woodbury County Supervisors tomorrow night and express my concerns there, and I'm assuming that they won't want to hear what I have to say either. But it's a real problem. I don't know if any of you have seen any of the instances that we've uncovered in the last week here in Iowa. And don't be so naive to think that it doesn't happen right here in Sioux City too, because I've seen it on jobs. And I would challenge any one of you to go on a job site with me and see what I see on a daily basis.
Are you talking about work,
Yes.
quality of work or something like that?
No.
Well,
we're talking about the workers.
They hire subs and don't pay the payroll tax.
They
Oh,
don't cover
gotcha.
them with workman's comp. They
How
don't-
do you know that?
That was just,
Because
there's
I
one
know
just
that.
reported.
Yeah, I saw that one, but I just mean,
Because this is my job, Julie.
Okay.
This is what I do.
Right.
And we've tracked this down.
Mm-hmm.
We
Because,
work on
and
it
they have to have
all the
logs
time.
of who's working for them and
Right.
where,
But,
right?
I
I
mean,
mean,
you-
you can check that.
right.
Yes,
I'm
I
sorry.
asked them, we had the general contractor in the room, and I just asked, is there a daily sign-in sheet? Do we know who's on the job daily? Is that too much to ask? Because if they're not keeping a daily list of who's signing in and who's signing out, in an emergency situation like panels
look for.
falling,
Yeah, you don't know if
is there
everyone's out.
somebody under there? Are they signed in? Are they signed out? It's a safety concern. There needs to be one sign-in sheet, and there needs to be a check of those names. The first thing on the responsible contractor language talks about OSHA 10 certification. That's all I asked to see, OSHA certifications for each worker on that site. It's not possible. They don't have the information. And so we need to get that information because they promised, here's what they told me. Ernie, we promised the citizens of Woodbury County we was going to build them a jail and we don't need you interfering. And I reminded him that they are signed to the responsible contractor language, that they also promised the citizens of Woodbury County that they would do it with good labor practices. And that's the part they're leaving out. And so now our $20 million project, $20 million over budget project could go even further over budget. So I'm just asking for your support in, we'll start a conversation about having somebody on that authority that's not gonna get shut out of the room, that's not gonna get shut up to try and enforce that language that they agreed to do.
How come they're not talking about it?
Well, they are, and when I talked to Ernie, we talked about putting together a written, the questions that you have,
Yes,
and we would submit that to them, and they're thinking that Kenny Schmitz is in that position to follow up on those items. I think that's where I'm not sure about that, but I think that's where we're running into some issues.
Well, OSHA, that OSHA training's not that long.
no, it's not that difficult to get. You can actually go online for $49.99, I think it is, Bob, and get your OSHA 10 certification.
Right, I mean, but I think it's a 4-hour deal in the morning, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes about 4 hours.
Teach it out there at that school on the west side, I think.
But it'd be nice to see a list with
Right.
a certification.
No, I know that.
That's
what
pretty
the
standard
language-
practice, right, to,
Yeah, that's what the language says. The general contractor agreed to it and signed off on it. I don't know if they went through that process one time or if it's a continual process because there's continually new people coming on the job.
right.
So
Either
who's
way.
taking care of that?
Because what was happening, Julie, and the reason that we went through with this when Ernie brought it to our attention is a lot of times you have contractors that aren't hiring people or paying them workers' comp or taking care of them, paying these additional taxes, so they can come in and undercut a bid and be able to bid low because they know that they're not going to have that additional cost that maybe a different, more reputable contractor would have. So then they get the job, perform these practices, and a lot of times the people that are hurt are the workers themselves. And so Ernie's just he's been an adamant watchdog of this process. and going to bat for a lot of the workers here in our community.
Having just written my check today for my income tax, it's probably not as large as what Mr. Moore will write tomorrow, but it was a fairly large check. I want everybody to live the American dream and write checks for their payroll taxes.
I paid a nice little chunk this year myself. I still
Very
don't
mu-
have, I
thank you
still
very
don't have
much.
grass either, but
No,
We gave you money for that, you're on your own.
I think that's a rain issue.
I think it might be.
But,
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I think we agreed to that, and they agreed if they want to change their rules over there, then they ought to change their rules, but I don't know. I guess I have a really hard time understanding what the problem keeping a list of workers on the job site are. I don't.
Or at least following those rules that we put in place. I mean, especially because the city's funding this project as well. You know, we're a partner in the project, so we should be holding them up to the standards agreed upon.
yeah, you know, and I was with this group prior to the project even starting, prior to the bond referendum. I wanted this jail built just as much as everybody else did. And I don't want any of the work, okay? We lost. Final. We're done with the work, but let's do it right. Let's treat those workers right. Let's make sure they're being treated right. Let's not just say they are. Let's actually do something and have somebody actually check.
Well,
You and I continue to work together on that.
You betcha. I've got a list of notes here for you, Dan. I've been trying to gather
Ready to take
them
'em
up.
now?
I'd like to put them in a little better format for you.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
But some of
I was
some of
gonna
the
say,
basic questions
let
that
us
I
know-
will ask
let's-
of a worker on a job site when I first meet them are, how are you? Are you okay? Are you safe? Are they paying you? Do you have a place to live? Do you have a place to stay tonight? Things like that, because I find a lot of times they don't. They're not getting paid what they said they were supposed to get paid. You know, there's a lot of issues out there, and the work comp issue is the biggest one.
These are
Because-
various sites that you visit, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, yep.
well, you
Have
have
your meeting
Dan.
tomorrow night and let us know.
Yeah, you have Dan on the authority that can act as an advocate on your behalf or the city's behalf as well. And I'm looking at some investigative journalists there in the back. I'm sure they can follow up if need be too. So-
Can't follow up if they won't let them on the job site, and they're not letting anybody on that job site. So
Well, no, I meant
Yeah, and
with
that's
other,
another, you
with
know,
other
they came
members
out
of
with
the
this
authority.
Visitation policy that I've gone through, I've
Oh, that's
called
right,
the
because
sheriff,
Jeremy,
I talked
that's
to the
right, Jeremy
sheriff.
Dumkrager did the exact same thing and wasn't allowed on, that's
I
right.
thought, you know, they acted like they were gonna have the sheriff guard the job site to prevent me from going on there, and the sheriff's like, no, I don't own that land, I'm not guarding anything, I didn't know I was even part of the policy. And the other day at the meeting, that was said too. So they've run out of, things to keep me away. I just wanna make sure those workers are being treated right, and like I say, I don't want any of the work. I want to make sure the workers are being treated right, having taxes deducted from their checks, paying into unemployment. We see what's happening to unemployment at the state level, right? There's no money in it. Why? Nobody's paying into it. Workman's comp, those things are so important.
Righty.
So, thank you guys for your
Thanks,
support.
Ernie.
Thank you.
Ernie.
for-
Anyone else be heard? Mr. O'Kane.
Nothing from me this week. Thank you, Brother Colt, for sharing your concerns, and I hope you know that you have our support. And that's it.
I was going to bring up those fines for the liquor stores and the restaurants and the bars, and I think we just all need to get the word out to our employees and our coworkers. If someone looks under 40, that's kind of the rule of thumb. It might feel a little bit ridiculous, but better safe than sorry. The restaurant I used to own got caught last year, and it costs a lot of money in fines. I noticed a few are repeat offenders enough that they lost their license for an entire 30 days. So let's just all try to work together and pay attention, and if you don't think your staff is necessarily carding, you can buy a scanner. It's pretty cheap. I saw them as low as $40 that most of the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you just hold it under it, and there's actually an app that some of the gals at Soho that were a little bit younger, that were a little bit insecure, put the app on their phone and they can scan it right from their phone as well. So anyway, let's be a little bit more prepared when we're selling alcohol and
Big
cigarettes.
sting operations going.
There's plenty going. They're getting them.
Mr. Waters.
Yeah, a few different things that I just wanted to bring to the council's attention and share with all of them in particular, but also anyone else that's listening, is that this Wednesday is the weight lecture held at Morningside University, and so Robin Roberts will actually be speaking there on campus in the Epley Auditorium. Doors open at 5 p.m., and her speech will begin at 5:30 p.m., and so I would really encourage, if you haven't been to one of those discussions or presentations in the past, they're really great, and I've heard Robin Roberts speak before, and so I think she does a great job. Her father actually went to Morningside College back then, and so it's great to have her on campus. That is Wednesday night. Doors open at 5 p.m. It's first come, first serve. So just make sure to get there and get your seats. And
When did her father go there?
I don't recall, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, because she's connected with the campus before, but yeah. I don't think he graduated, but I think he went there for some time. And then I also wanted to remind or invite, I believe as council, we all got an invitation to attend the inauguration celebration for our 23rd president at Morningside. And so we're inviting a lot of people across the community and just wanted to make sure that city officials were included in that as well. It's open to the public. So the inauguration celebration itself starts at 10 a.m. on Thursday, and that's at Epley Auditorium as well. That will go till probably noon. At 12:30, there is there's like a meet and greet type of thing, and it looks like the weather's going to be a little iffy, so that might be in the Epley lobby, but otherwise we'll be out on the Epley lawn if possible and weather permits.
This Thursday?
This Thursday, 10 a.m., yep. And then if you can't make any of those things in maybe the morning or around that time, or maybe even the meet and greet, there's an alumni and friends opportunity at Bob Rose Bob Rose Point After on Transit starting at 4:30 p.m. So going till about 6. So that's going to be just kind of like an alumni and friends happy hour type thing. So, and I see some alumni. I know there's some alumni in the audience here and listening.
ID.
So,
Bring your ID.
Mayor, I mean, you were there
I was
for
just
a
gonna
year.
say
So,
that. That's why I was smiling.
I took 2 courses in the summer school, so
I mean,
do I qualify?
there you go. You might get a
Where?
wing or two, while you're there. There you go.
Did? Well, I was on shaky ground with the draft board, so I had to. Oh.
Yeah. No, but I would just encourage council to attend those things if it's the first time it's happened on campus in 23 years, so it's a big deal. And so we're looking forward to that. The last thing that I would point out is Friday is Litter Dash, and again, the weather is looking fairly iffy. And so I was talking to John about that today, and I'm sure they're monitoring it as best they can. It'd be great if we could have the kickoff. I know they've had a great number of registrants. People sign up to participate in Litter Dash, but if they're not able to have it this Friday, I'm sure they'll let people know. So keep an eye on both the news as well as social media for those updates. I'm sure they'll contact the team leaders if they're unable to host it. But I guess along with that, I would just encourage everyone to do their part. I know I've started my spring cleaning and cleaning up the yard and gutters and different things around the curbs and everything around my house. So I would encourage you to look at your neighborhood and see what you can do to maybe clean it up, spruce it up a little bit, because when the snow melts, surely we all see the litter. I know it frustrates me to no end. So if we can do our part, makes light work of it.
And it's everyone's litter.
And the wind has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Hurt a lot.
Kidding. That's all I have, Mayor.
Nothing further, Mayor.
Adjourn.
Second.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott. Waters.
Aye.